morning.
Good morning.
As we settle in this morning, let's enjoy some music from Barb on the harp. Thank you, Barb. Good morning and welcome. My name is Tegan Moline and I serve on your Fellowship Board of Directors. I want to thank you all for being here today and extend a special welcome to any visitors. If you would like more information about the Fellowship, please visit the welcome table in the fireside room or sign the virtual guest book at uufames.org/guestbook. Whether joining us from home or here in Fellowship Hall, We invite you to stay after the service for Coffee Fellowship, where you can introduce yourself and join in conversation with kindred spirits. We have a few announcements this morning. We are looking for people to share their time, talents, and knowledge with our children in August while we regather and get ready to start the new program year. If you have a skill, experience, or an activity you'd like to lead, please talk to Dana or sign up via the weekly email. Reverend Kent's memorial will be streamed here at the fellowship this Thursday, August 15th at 1 p.m. Please join us in the fireside room for a time of community and remembrance. If you plan to attend, please let Jamie Gerganis know so we can be sure to have enough seating. And this morning, I want to make a special welcome to our music coordinator, Madison Mayfield, who is joining us this morning. I'm sure we will all get to know her in the days and weeks to come. So on behalf of this caring, nurturing congregation, I welcome each and every one of you into this sacred space. Here, we invite you to an experience of transformation, hope, renewal, and connections, which may inspire you to understand life in new ways. Thank you for joining us today.
Good morning. I'm Jan Cook, and I serve on your Sunday Services Committee. Our call to fellowship today is adapted from words by Marnie Harmony. We whose journeys are always beginning, we whose mission always awaits us, we whose visions are bent on loving, we gather together here. We come as a community drawn together out of common need, each toting our own carpet bag of treasures and dreams. We gather together seeking meaning, yearning to understand life in all its dimensions, as it challenges and expands, as it burdens, as it consoles and heals. We gather together with questions, the kind of questions that provoke us to the path of action. We gather with hope, the kind of hope that pulses on through uncertainty. We gather wanting certainty and having none, but we are wakeful to possibilities as we seek discernment and gentle judgment. We gather thirsting for something more. We gather drawn to our source, and to each other. May our hearts be open to this journey. Thank you.
On the cusp of a new experience, let us light our chalice by saying together the words of our shared ministry. At the Unitarian Universalist Fellowship of Ames, we are growing spiritually, creating community, striving for justice, and learning to love. Our first hymn this morning is number 1000 in the Teal Songbook. And please, Amber and Elijah, lead us in this, and please stand, rise in body or spirit as you are able.
Bring faith to guide our journey.
Please be seated. I would welcome any young ones to join us here. You're already here. If you'd like to share a little time for all ages together. You more seasoned ones, if you feel like you could get down on the carpet and get back up again. Good morning. So today, I want to talk a bit about origin stories. Does anybody know what an origin story is? Well, in many different cultures around the world, people have origin stories, creation stories about how their people came to be. And do you know who else has origin stories? Superheroes. Superheroes have origin stories. Do you know any superhero origin stories? Do you know where Superman comes from? Or Spider-Man? Or Iron Man? Or Wonder Woman? Each one of these big characters, Wonder Woman, Superman, Spider-Man, they all have a story that talks about how they got to be the way they are. Sometimes they're a rich guy who gets bit by a spider. No, a scientist who gets bit by a spider. Or a rich guy who has something terrible happen to him. Or a soldier in the war who has to figure out how to make things better. Or sometimes it's a very strong Amazon who knows that she has to go and make the world better. This is the common thing about superheroes. They all go and make the world better. Well, I'm the new minister here, but guess what? Not a superhero. Not. But each of us has the ability to make things better. Here's our origin story. You see my scarf? Can you tell what's on it? Lots and lots and lots of stars. Galaxies of stars. This scarf, which was given to me by a dear friend, reminds me of our origin story. We were born, long time before we were actually born. We came from the Big Bang. a bazillion zillion years ago. Or 13.8 billion years ago, to be a little bit more precise. There was a big bang. It started out tiny, and then boom! And everything in the universe, including us, including our pets, including the people that we love, including this platform right here,
Including everything.
including everything, including the carrots you're going to have for lunch, or the corn that you're going to eat for supper, including the cars and the quilts and the everything came out of that big bang. That's our origin story. So we're not superheroes, but we are pretty super. So as we go about our week this week, would you think with me about the way that we're connected to everything? To our favorite toy, to the carpet, to our shoes, to everything. We're connected to everything and everyone. And that is our superpower. Okay? We can think about that. So you can either stay right here, or you can go back and sit with your grown-up. Either way, but we're going to stay in this room today instead of going down to religious education. Okay? That's the plan. Okay. All right, I'm going to go back up there, okay? Okay. Thank you.
We will now give and receive the offering. Please know that this morning half of the non-pledge offering will be donated to Planned Parenthood of the North Central States. Planned Parenthood delivers vital reproductive health care, sex education, and information and advocacy to millions of people worldwide. The other half of the offering will support programs here in our fellowship that make this a community of inspiration, transformation, and belonging. We'll pass the baskets here in Fellowship Hall, but alternately for those at home or here with a cell phone, you can go to uufames.org/give to make your contribution today. If you are visiting today, please know that your presence here is gift enough. Thank you.
Each week when we gather, at least on the first 3 Sundays of the month when I am with you in this pulpit, we'll do a time of joys and sorrows. Our lives are connected one to another, and our joys are expanded and our burdens are lightened as we share them with each other. But we're not going to go back to the old style of doing milestones. Rather, I'll share if there are things that people have lifted up to be announced, and otherwise, a prayer for all the world and the ways that it is hurting. And then I'll invite us to say into the space, together, if we like, the names of anyone that we're carrying on our hearts today. So I'll walk us through this in a moment. It's just that we're creating shared space together, and we'll lift up together our concerns into this space. For those of you online, you are invited to do that as well, just in your own quiet space, to lift up the names of those you're thinking of. I want to say first that for months and months, our hearts are open and our hearts are hurting for the people in Gaza and Palestine and those subject to oppression anywhere in the world. Our hearts are open and hurting for the Israeli hostages still held and for people who are held against their will anywhere in the world. Grief is complicated. Justice unserved is complex and complicated. And just because we don't have answers doesn't mean that we can't allow ourselves to feel. May we never become numb to the ways that the world is hurting. We think of people who are unable to live out their lives fully because of gender injustice, who are unable to make the choices they would like to make for their own families because of reproductive injustice, people who are caught in the grip of racial and economic injustice, people who are caught in the grip of addiction or mental illness. We can allow our hearts to expand, to hold all of that. Fear not that we will be swamped by the grief. Because we are together, we can allow our hearts to expand. Into this quiet that we create, if there are people or places or communities that are especially on your heart, please feel free to lift them into this space. I'm thinking today of Sophia and Mike.
Craig and Diane.
Jim, Marvis, and Tom Hinkle.
For all of these concerns, spoken and unspoken, we offer our love and hope and blessing.
Really had me caught up in what you were saying.
Thank you, Barb. Our reading today is by Anne Hillman. Excuse me. We are all on a journey together to the center of the universe. Look deep into yourself, into another. It is the center which is everywhere. That is the holy journey. First, you need to look, notice, and honor the radiance of everything about you. Play in this universe. Tend all these shining things around you, the smallest plant, the creatures and objects in your care. Be gentle and nurture. Listen. As we experience and accept all that we really are, we grow in care. We begin to embrace others as ourselves and learn to live as one among many. Okay.
Well, in the first week of a new job, this feels a little like what a new presidential candidate must feel like. There are high expectations, lots of support, and lots of joy, many, many meetings. It's a little bit like drinking from a fire hose. I thank you again for the warm welcome of me and of my little dog, Memphis, who is making lots and lots of friends. He and I both think that Ames is pretty sweet. Let's agree that this moment is a beginning, but not a creation story. The Unitarian Universalist Fellowship of Ames has a powerful origin story. As a part of the American Unitarian Association's fellowship movement, many of you know that this congregation started with informal meetings in 1946 as a discussion group led by a minister from Des Moines, Grant Butler, who later became the AUA's minister at large, visiting many fellowships across the country. Do we know, are there any members of that original group still living? I think not. Was Irv the oldest living member of when Irv was the oldest living member of the fellowship? Right. So none of us here were gathered at that first meeting in 1946. You were the third congregation gathered as a fellowship. You had 2 ministers on loan before you called your first minister in 1986, the Reverend Dr. Sidney Morris. And I love this part of your story. In 1959, with only $50 left in the bank account, and rather than close, you started a new building fund with it. Man, that's moxie. And now here we are in this beautiful space. And during the trauma of COVID, you began sharing your services online. Now the hybrid model that continues today. We see you, Zoomers. Here you are. My origin story begins in the rich black land soil of Blossom Prairie in Northeast Texas. Both sets of my grandparents farmed this land, and my parents are from this country. They are joining us today via Zoom. Hello, Betty and Wayne, and welcome. Welcome to the UUF Ames. I was born and raised in Paris, Texas, in the rich soil of unconditional family love and the Bible stories of love and forgiveness and the community care at the Lamar Avenue Church of Christ, where we sang with gusto and people taught Sunday school and shared leadership and took food to the shut-ins, as we called them. I left that church in my teens. Life happened, sobriety happened. I found Unitarian Universalism, and then my call to ministry, and here I am. So let us agree that each of you individually and as a congregation and we each have our origin stories. And that this moment marks streams coming together, a confluence of stories already in progress. As our streams meet and merge, as we influence each other, we begin a new chapter in a shared narrative. It's said that you never step into the same river twice because the water is always flowing. We know that water is flowing outside. Something's happening. Somebody will take care of whatever it is. We're here. Here's a funny thing about water and streams and rivers. We might ask, here in this land between the rivers, is the river the water or the banks or the bed or the thoroughfare? And yes, all of these. And of that river, what does it hold? Philosopher and poet Mark Nepo, in his luminous meditation journal, The Book of Awakening, writes this: a river doesn't hold all the water that passes through it. In our journey through time, we all struggle constantly with what to bring along and what to leave behind. It feels so hard to throw anything away, but if we don't, we will drown underneath the weight of our own making. He continues, the river is a good model. It doesn't own the water that rushes by, yet it couldn't be in a more intimate relationship with it, as the force of what moves through shapes it. It's the same with everything we love. In truth, there's no point to holding on to the deepest things that matter, for they have already shaped us. Close quote. You, each of you, by your presence here and your leadership and your followership and your singing and your contributions and the ways you interact, shape this fellowship. We are all shapers of the river as it goes through, and we are shaped by the river. In our time together, we will have the opportunity to let go of some of the things that have shaped us, knowing that we never need let go of memory and meaning. And in our time together, we will shape the riverbanks anew, adding to our collective story. We're all passing through the Unitarian Universalist Fellowship of Ames. None of us here are founding members, and we hope that our work for the sustainability of this congregation means that none of us here will be the ones to close the fellowship. We're water passing through. 19th century English Baptist Charles Spurgeon, sometimes called the Prince of Preachers, wrote, "Begin as you mean to go on, and go on as you begin, and let the Lord be with you in all." In the language of his strong Christian tradition, he encourages us to intentionality, to let the highest good be our guide. Our stories, my story, your story, our story, began as a combination of curiosity and compassion and love. And so may we continue on this way. Even as we agree that August of 2024 sees us stepping into a stream that is already in motion, so it is the start of a new relationship between and among us, and marks a moment in the life of this congregation. What will it mean for us to begin as we mean to go on? Well, we've heard this summer about our JETPIG values. JETPIG, justice, equity, transformation, pluralism, interdependence, and generosity. JETPIG, we can remember this. We're going to say them together. Justice, equity, transformation, pluralism, interdependence, and generosity. Oh, well done. In addition to these, I want to speak of the values that I already witness here at UUF Ames and that I hope we will cultivate. And I'm going to ask if our young ones can be quiet. They could come up here if they like. You want to come up here? Okay. It makes it hard for other people to hear, but I'm glad for you to be here. Okay. Okay. The values that I already witness here and that I hope we will cultivate. Curiosity and creativity, courage and compassion, integrity and accountability, patience and humility, joy and good humor, gratitude and generosity, assuming good intentions, teamwork in our shared ministry, a spirit of innovation and experimentation. And because we will make mistakes, a commitment to forgiveness and repentance and repair, both within and beyond our walls. And always, always love at the center of all we do. It is sometimes said of Unitarian Universalists that we define ourselves more by what we are not than what we are. We're not that kind of church. We're not Christian. Some of us may claim Christianity as our own practice, but we're not a Christian congregation. We're not focused on the supernatural or on an afterlife. I say that by attending to our spiritual maturity in these values, it helps define who and what we are with a life-saving message for a hurting world. To be sure, there are many progressive congregations of all faiths who would recognize and embrace that set of values. And we bring our particular frames of reason and responsibility to these values. Since you called me at the end of April, I anticipated that I might come into a highly anxious system, a glum lot. Not because of you, but because of the air that we're breathing these days. Lots of progressives and religious progressives have been so anxious about the existential threats facing our planet and our country and our society and, the future of democracy. The air has been heavy with dread. But now we have a superhero and a folk hero on the national scene, Wonder Woman and Paul Bunyan, locked in a battle with almost comically dangerous villains. And there is some hope and some breathing room for those of us who prioritize inclusion, compassion, integrity, accountability, and all the rest. And yet, the existential threat remains. We need each other. We need each other to be here together, to be grounded, to remind us that relationships matter, that the meaning that we make here together matters. This month, Madison is brand new, as am I, and we are both listening. We are spending a lot of time listening to what matters to you, what meaning you make here and how you make it. To minister means to serve. To minister means to serve, and it is clear that this is a shared ministry. That's why I came, was for this shared ministry. In meetings this week, I see how you are serving each other and the wider world and the mission of UUF Ames. We are growing spiritually, creating community, striving for justice, and learning to love. Let our goal be not to live into this mission perfectly, but to aim toward excellence, to an expansion, ever expanding our life-giving values in a world that needs them now more than ever. Unitarian Universalism is a life-giving movement. We save lives. I tell you that, I promise you that. We save lives. Let us strengthen our values together as we face each other and we face outward toward the world. Jan shared our reading this morning, this call to fellowship. We whose journeys are always beginning, we whose mission always awaits us, we whose visions are bent on loving, we gather together here. We come as a community drawn together out of our common need, each toting our own carpet bag, our own creation story of treasures and dreams. We seek meaning, yearning to understand life in all its dimensions as it challenges and expands, as it burdens and consoles and heals. We gather together with questions, the big questions, the kind of questions that provoke us on a path to action. And we gather with hope, the kind of hope that pulses on through uncertainty. We gather wanting certainty and having none, but we are awake to the possibilities as we seek discernment and gentle judgment. One of my favorite quotes is from the theologian of the civil rights movement, the Reverend Howard Thurman. He wrote, "Keep fresh before me the moments of my high resolve. Keep fresh before me the moments of my high resolve." Here on this cusp of a new story, may we begin as we mean to go on and continue as we began. And when the going gets tough, and it will, may we be reminded of our high resolve to continue with curiosity and creativity, courage and compassion, integrity and accountability, patience and humility, joy and good humor, gratitude and generosity, assuming good intentions, teamwork in our shared ministry, a spirit of innovation and experimentation, and because we will all make mistakes, a commitment to forgiveness and repentance and repair, both within and beyond our walls, with always, always love at the center of all we do. May it be so, and blessed be. Let's stand and sing 1017, We're Building a New Way.
We are building a new way. We are building a new way. We are building a new way. Feeling stronger every day. We are building a new way.
The things to do have been done, for the most part. The people we need are in place, almost. We are ready, or as ready as we will be. Bless this most perfect, imperfect beginning, that we may find the right people to do the right things, or the left things, as we go. May we discover that what we needed was here all along, and may we remember to stop and marvel at the magic of each moment as it floats by. Blessed be.